In a world filled with things on the internet, 2 men, 1 podcast, 2 pores.
It's awkward.
Late.
What? You messed it all up. 2 more podcasts live in effect.
Take
What's
2?
up?
Are we going to do take 2?
Take 2.
Take 2?
You ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Indian Trail, North Carolina, and the 2 Poor Podcast Studios, where we are here live in effect. You'll catch us recorded, but we're here recording another episode. Season 2, episode 4, Female Empowerment.
Yes.
We are starting out Female Empowerment Month, the month of March, with a bang, with our friend, Hanna. Longtime friend. So, as always with our guests, we have an intro for her. So, let me break down Hanna in a nutshell. We're going to...
Tell me about myself.
This is her in a nutshell. How did I get this giant bloody
This is all she is.
Oh, celebrity.
That's it. Right. No, Hanna is a wonderfully complex individual who is an accomplished business owner, mother of 3, a published poet. You might have seen her in magazines as a former model. She's an art director, art teacher to children, a repurposer of any and all things. She's a brilliant artist, a strong woman, friend of the people here at 2 Poor Podcasts, and also a fan. And low-key, one of the funniest people that I know. So let's welcome to our special guest, Hanna Shook.
Hey.
Wow. You should write my resume.
I will.
Can
I
you
do
write
that.
my resume?
$100 a pop. I will write your resume for you.
I got to tell you though, we've been talking about this. I am so excited to have you on here because we have come up together in various little spots, action out of pods, Gerald there.
Yes.
You know, but seeing what you've done, you know, in life and what you've created has been really, really awesome. And we'll obviously have some ways to link up with her art and things of that nature. We're gonna let her talk about that
Business
later.
ventures, yeah.
I've purchased, or my wife, she's purchased some stuff that's hanging up on our wall.
Shout out Ashley.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's very cool, man. But I'm looking forward to hearing your story, you know, and letting the people in.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. So before we do that, all right, we want to give shout outs to our main sponsor of the program, Blue Diamond Pest Control. Call the guys and girls over at Blue Diamond for all your pest control needs, residential and commercial. Hit them up on 704-701-0876, or you can go to their website, bluediamondpc.net, and they will link you up. Call and ask for your free promotional discount from 2 Poor Podcasts.
Thanks, Jeff Maddox.
Thanks, Jeff. He will love you for that, but he will hook you up if you are a fan of 2 Poor Podcasts.
Oh, they do great work, man.
Yeah, residential and commercial. So
they do great work.
Yeah, they do really, really good
Phenomenal work.
They care. Second of all, we are doing things a little bit differently. Jimmy and I are indulging in Bullet 10 year. Last episode you couldn't be a part of because you were battling COVID. I'm so glad to see you back healthy.
I'm glad to be back. I don't know about healthy, but I'm glad to be back. Right?
But you're back. You're back and you're fighting. And had you down for a little bit. So we're definitely grateful to have you here.
Thank you, man.
And so we're drinking the Bullet 10 year out of our decanter that we got from
Tim Shea,
Chief Warrant Officer to Tim Shea.
Appreciate that, man.
This beautiful, beautiful gift that's now a centerpiece of the table here. So, and Hanna is not drinking straight bourbon with us. She is indulging in a bourbon
Just
mule.
a little girl.
No,
she's empowered, and she said, "You know what? I want what I want." And we said, "Okay,
So
it's okay."
So that's what we're doing.
Ladies' choice. So she's drinking a bourbon mule with Penelope bourbon, who we talked about. We talked about Penelope bourbon on a previous episode.
It's a very good bourbon. But
Yeah,
you do like the
I
drink.
do like it. You did a good job.
Thank you.
It was great.
Awesome.
It is great. I'm sorry.
But all right, so before we jump into all of the different things that we're going to talk about with you, Hanna, I wanted to just give 2 additional shout outs. One, since it's Female Empowerment Month, I wanted to talk about Uncle Nearest for just a quick second. Fawn Weaver she, runs that whiskey brand. She's actually the first Black woman to run a major whiskey brand, which is also titled the fastest growing independent whiskey label in U.S. history. So that's pretty massive. And Rabbit Hole Distillery, ran by Heather Bass.
Heather Bass.
Could be a Ken.
Could be Ken.
I thought you'd like that.
I like that a lot.
100% Kentucky made, Rabbit Hole Distillery. Go check them out if you're in the Kentucky area.
That's fire.
So if you guys don't have any shout outs or any additional shout outs,
No additional.
we're going to get right into the episode. And one of the things that we love to do regarding our guests here at Two Poor Podcast is we want to tell the complete story of the individual.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell the complete story. So, Hanna, there's a lot of things that you've been into over the years. I mean, regarding art or business, but we want to take it back to a young little Hanna.
You guys do know young Hanna.
We know a younger Hanna. We've all known each other for a little while. But tell us a little bit about you as far as childhood, growing up, and what was kind of home like for you? Where do you? I mean, how do you feel like some of the things as far as that have empowered you as a female going forward? What are those things that you took from your home life?
Well, I am one of 3 sisters.
Okay.
Houseful of women.
Yeah.
A family full of women. Like we don't have very many men in the family. And I mean, I had a great childhood. I had an absolutely wonderful childhood. Lived with my mom and my sister, who you know very well.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Megan.
Yeah, and so we really had a system in our house that it was just us. So it was our responsibility to take care of our home, and mom really instilled that in us, and we
Shout out
carry
to
it
Kelly.
with it. Yeah, shout out to
Kelly.
She's so
Make
awesome.
sure you give her that shout out.
Come on.
She's waiting for that one. Now that's interesting that you said that, because I mean I also grew up in a house full of women. But is that sisterhood? You know what I mean? Growing up in a house full of women, do you feel like that's kind of like that sisterhood community energy? And do you feel like that's something that you gravitate towards now? Or does there need to be more of that?
So sisterhood is interesting, and it's an interesting subject, but I love a girl's girl. I love women supporting women. Okay. But it wasn't always that when we were young, all of us. There was a lot of mean girl energy back then between peers and a lot of that kind of thing. And I think now coming around, there's a lot more girls coming around supporting girls. But back then, there was a lot of mean girl energy back in the day.
Did that get you to tighten up your group and keep small circles, or were you want to have
Well, I sort of in school, I guess I was a part of all the kind of groups. I kind of mingled, but I did have a group of friends. But I think choosing your friends is important, and this is something that I talk to my daughter about. She's 14 now. Who's around you can change your trajectory incredibly.
Such a great
point.
Even
really
that
good.
young.
Yeah, absolutely.
What you're exposed to, what your friends are bringing around you, the energy they're bringing around. At that age, you have no choice but to mold to who you're with, even if it's not who you are inside, and you don't really know it till later. Yeah,
and that's a good point. So, I mean, so if we're going back to that childhood and you being, teenage Hanna, do you feel like, that's something that was given to you as far as what do you feel like was instilled in you that has helped you, or what are some of the obstacles as a teenage Hanna that you had to overcome, that you had to face here in the world that we're living in?
I think, like I said, it's really like finding your place, and I don't think that think that is individual to me. I think that's all of our youth, is just finding your place, finding your people that are like you, and not so much worry if somebody's not for you, they're not for you. And I say this to a lot of young people that I'm around. Like, if the people you get if they're not for you, they're not for you, and that's okay.
It's okay to walk away from it.
It's okay. You don't have to be friends with the popular girl. You don't have to be friends with this, that. You can be friends with everybody.
It's
you
like
can be kind to everybody, and I think that's the kind of thing that lasts. And I think that I did go through a phase.
FOMO kind of thing?
No, not. I went through a phase where I kind of did follow the people that I was around, and I did mimic and emulate the energy that they had. And looking back, a lot of the times, I think maybe it wasn't me.
What's a natural thing to, like you said, like when you are who you're around, and like
even as an adult.
And I think going back to what you said just a second ago, and I think this is great for any parents to tell their kids, especially at a young age where you're the most impressionable, right? Where if you have your friends that are around that are bringing bad energy, or they're casting some really bad energy through your your immediate universe, dude, it's okay just to say, man, this just doesn't work for me, and move away from it. Don't be scared.
Don't be afraid to be unpopular.
Right.
Don't be afraid of that. And that's that's such a big thing. Well, not good for me, but I'm just saying, looking back, hindsight's always 20/20. It is. You're like, it's okay to not. It's cool to not fit in, and you don't know that until later, and it's.
But it's such an important message out there. There's going to be people listening to this who are young parents, or parents in general, or maybe some teenagers who are going to listen to this.
Right.
You don't have to do everything that the other person is doing. Stand on what you believe in. Stand on who you are.
Even if it makes you unpopular.
That's right. And
even if it makes people like, so what? If you're coming from a good place, you're good-hearted, you're pure intention, there's going to be people who don't like you.
Absolutely.
That's like, there's going to be people who don't like you, and that's okay. Don't take it personal, because that's on them.
And it's more, exactly. It's more a reflection of them than it is you. So stand strong, stay true to yourself. Yeah. I think that's a very, very important lesson for young women to hear.
I believe that wholeheartedly, man. Having twins, raising them, it's different than having the sons, right? They're all unique. They're all important, but the girls are, especially now that they're getting into that final stage of high school. That's what I want to ask you about.
Yeah, the girl world is hard.
That's what I want to ask you about.
There's a lot of pressure.
Because my girls, I have twins that are fraternal. Obviously, you know that, but one of them is dead this way, the other one's dead this way. But it's still difficult in both their avenues. But there's a lot of peer pressure to that's weird to me as a guy, because I'm just a guy.
It's just different.
That your friend said what, and you got to do what?
Yeah.
Excuse me? And
the girl world is
it's tough.
It's tough. I mean, and not to draw a line, but from my observation, like, boys are boys. They care about the boy things, but the girls, it's just like the little things matter. Right. Everything matters. What you say, what you wear, who's doing this, and there's the whole
and are you not? And they're being judged on
and
everything, right?
Yeah, and it's just it can be tough, and it can be really harsh.
And it's you're immediately judged by other women. Yeah. Do you have like women besides Mama Kelly, besides Megan? Like, do you have other women that you've grown up with for, you could say, 20 years that are still your nearest and dearest right now?
I have a couple, and there are some that I've outgrown. Yeah. There's some that, I still love very dearly, but I've just outgrown, and you change, and that's okay.
And that's not a bad thing.
That's a good thing. Changing is okay. If you're not changing, you're staying the same.
Yeah, you gotta evolve, and that's right? Okay. Constant evolution.
And I mean, my grandma told me a long time ago, you're going to be 10 different people, and even more. maybe more.
You know,
and
listen
not
to the
remember
wisdom
those
of the
people.
old. Listen to
Yeah.
the wisdom of the old.
And-
These people have been through life, so when they
Yeah.
tell you something, they're not just
Yeah.
coming up with something
You know,
new.
Her grandma's very wise.
She
Wow.
she
It was,
would say, you know, like, I don't even remember that girl. I don't
Right.
even remember who I was then. And
Right.
and that's why it's important to judge people on who they are when you meet them.
Right.
Because not who tells you, oh, they're this way, they're this way.
You
Don't
wanna see
let
their
somebody
authentic self.
else describe
Write the
you.
story.
Yeah.
Because you're meeting a totally different person.
Yeah.
You can't say, oh, well, I automatically don't like her because so-and-so told me this and I heard she did this.
Form your own
Yeah.
opinion, right? That's very good.
Yeah,
Very
you're
good point.
you're going to be so many different people, and you're not going to remember them. You're going to be like, I can't believe I did that. And people will tell you things like you were saying, like you don't remember, and you're like, I did do that. That did happen.
Crap.
You know, and you're like, you get the secondhand embarrassment, and you're like, ew.
Or like, oh, I thought you were a jerk back in the day. I didn't know that you were this cool.
There's people that
happened.
probably did think that you were a jerk and that
Yeah.
thought that I was.
Can I tell you? I want to tell you, cats and kittens, something
You
out
think
there
so,
from
jerk?
old Uncle Jim.
Yeah.
He's telling the truth right now about himself.
Yeah,
okay?
so-
People do think he's a jerk, and he still is, but we love him. We love him.
Wow.
Yeah.
What
This guy. All right. So
I happen to know you're both dweebs.
Yeah.
Not very many people know that you guys are actually dweebs.
This is the shortest
End of
podcast
episode.
we've ever had.
Yeah, good night. No, all right. So, all right. Regardless of whatever we're dealing with,
I haven't heard.
Seriously, did
I
she
feel
really
so
just say
disrespected
that?
right now. Dweeb?
is this 96?
Such a dunce.
God bless. Idiot. Anyways, thanks, Hannah. Female empowerment. Rawr. So, regardless of what
Yikes.
we're dealing with, guys and girls, right,
Yeah.
as teenagers, young adults, we all need to seek healthy avenues, right, of energy. You happen to, seek the arts, you know what I mean, as far as one of your avenues. So you've been into poetry.
I wasn't. Not many people know that. Not many people in my current life know that. And I was
why don't we talk
praying.
about that?
Girl.
Okay, so I was praying you wouldn't be like, I have a poem that Hannah wrote. I was praying that you wouldn't.
Well, Sean will find it. Don't worry about that.
Not a lot of people know that, but I tell people all the time, I used to love, I have journals filled with poetry.
Yeah.
And I actually happen to know my mom was actually a wrter too.
Really?
Yeah, and one of the
Dropping the old.
she doesn't
Dishing the old
know that I
secrets, huh?
remember, but I used to see her old journals with writing and stuff like
Okay.
that, and those are the kind of things you look back on when you're young. Your mom's your mom. When you're older, you're like, my mom was a human.
Right.
Yeah.
She was a person,
Right.
feeling.
Once
She
you
wasn't
start
just
going
my
through the
mom.
things that she went through, right?
Once you start
Like,
snooping around in her stuff.
Well, this is when I was young, but I bought her a journal years back and was like, I want you to find that
Yeah.
again. Find that person again.
So are you ashamed of you?
No,
Of you being
no,
the
but
poet that you were
reading
back in the day?
No, but reading them is definitely like, oh God, what was I?
Walking down the dark streets with the sun.
But at the time, I loved it. I felt it. I thought I knew
Yeah.
all these things. And,
what it is though,
Maybe I did.
It's you being a creative. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many forms
Yeah.
of being a creative, and that's some of the things we're going to get into about you that I find super fascinating. I think it's very awesome. Everybody's got their own little slice of the creative pie,
Yeah,
right?
they should.
And you've got
Yeah.
people that
Some people's pies are very, very, very small.
Well, they're important too. Everybody can't be creative. So
straight up. And
That's
no, they
supposed
can't. But when you find it, one thing that I do want to go into before he goes into the creatives that you've had, which we're starting with the poetry and then we're talking about the modeling and so on and so forth. Sure. Do you find a lot of people have one lane? And it's a two-part thing. You find a lot of people only have one lane, and they maximize it, or that's what they do all the time. Where you kind of you've got a wide brush there.
Yeah, I would not say I'm an expert on one thing.
Right.
I am okay
Jack
at
of
a
all
lot
trades,
of
master
things.
to none.
Yeah, I just think it's important to be interested, and regardless what it is. It doesn't have to be the arts. Just stay interested and find some good things that you are okay at. You don't have
Explore
to. Yeah, you don't
yourself.
have to be good at it, and people might pay you money for it. But
And it's not a competition.
You know,
Yeah.
and I think that it's important to find your thing. You know, and for some people it's technical. Some people it's these things. You know, it's machines and all that. It's important to find your thing, and I think for me, it's just the biggest thing about me is I'm never bored.
Yeah,
I'm never bored. I am. If I'm at home, I'm tinkering.
You're doing
I'm messing
something.
with something. Like I'm most bored in groups, and I tell a lot of people that when I'm out group socially is probably when I'm the most bored.
So you like,
and I was always like that as a kid.
right?
I
So
was
you
always
find
like
it.
that as a kid.
You're okay being by yourself.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Finding things to do. Like I'm.
Yeah.
How important? Let's touch on that for a second. How important is that for anybody, regardless of female, male, is being comfortable in your own space?
You gotta like yourself and realize that being alone and being by yourself, it shouldn't be lonely.
Right.
So you're your biggest work of art, you know. So if you're like, I'm lonely,
That's video moment right there.
Dude,
if
that's
I'm
your
lonely
biggest
when
work
you're
of art.
alone, find something to do.
Dog, you're your biggest work of art. That's another T-shirt. That's another
That's it.
hoodie. Sorry,
That's
rewind
copywritten
that.
as of this episode. that's copywritten.
It's true, though.
I think that
You know?
I'm going to
You
tell
gotta
you,
like
Hannah.
yourself.
That
Yeah.
is some of the most wise words right there that not just young people need to hear. I need to hear it. Older folks need to hear it. That's such a great thing for somebody to really think about. Like you are your biggest.
It goes
Canvas,
back,
right?
One of the things I love about this podcast, even with us talking in pre-show,
Right.
that everything comes back around.
It does.
And it goes to talk about when we first started this podcast, 4 quadrants of health. We are our canvas.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we are making ourselves better. So I
But
love
that canvas is going to change.
That's right.
It's going to change multiple times. It could change tomorrow. Something can happen later today, and tomorrow you're a different person. You still got to like that person.
Absolutely.
You got to be somebody that you would like. and
this.
and that's important.
I've been enthralled,
you
yes.
know, like you, and that is why it's important who you're around and
Yeah.
what you're bringing in and what you're
The energy that you're
holding
allowing
on to,
in.
because we spent so many years holding on to things. And my late great uncle Mike always said, if I'm gonna be a net, I can't be a sponge. You can't hold everything in from everyone around you and still expect to catch your blessings. You know, you can't walk around with that. And I think it's important to just, you gotta like yourself.
That's
you really
amazing.
Everyone around could change too. And that's another subject. You know, everyone around you is also doing the same thing.
Right.
Your mom's doing the same thing. Your sister's doing the same thing. Your kids are doing the same. It's your first time being this person. It's my first time being a mom of a 14-year-old. I've never done it before.
Right.
You know, so it's important to give everybody grace because we're all ever changing.
Super important.
You know, so it's important. You're number one. You're born alone, you die alone. You gotta like who you are.
Yeah,
You know?
that's so that's beautiful words. I'm blown away.
God bless you.
Cheers. That's so awesome.
wisdom
That's
on it. I
great.
love that.
Dropping jewels, man.
Yeah, well, it's true.
I don't
Very
know.
true.
I don't know if we can segue, but we're gonna have to try because there's so many different topics I want to get on and talk about. So your mom is a strong woman.
She is. You know
And
her very well.
I know. I mean, so Miss Kelly is kind of like a mother figure to me, and that's a whole different episode. But she's a strong woman, and she was a business owner.
She was,
You know?
and she really did. Even though she would love a shout out, I will shout her out because she really did teach us. She was very independent and still is very independent. And she put us to work. And
Yeah, what was that like having
we were
that
sorting
kind of?
invoices at home when I was 10 years old. Like, we had a whole system of.
She put you to work early on.
I
right?
don't even remember if she paid us or not. She might have. I don't know. But she put us to work, and I try to remember those things now. She really taught us how to, you got to make your own money, and she didn't depend on, other people.
She was one of the first female parts owners, right?
She did the auto parts
or auto parts
before
store,
the big
right?
box stores came. I think she was the only woman in Charlotte that owned an auto parts store.
I mean, busting
and that's
ass
a
in
man's
strong
world.
Yeah, oh, it sure is.
And she was just this little firecracker,
Dude,
redhead lady walking around.
I worked for
my money.
I worked for her I worked for her for a short stint of time, and it was like when she said something, I was like, "Yep, okay." Like she had some authority behind her, but she had also the very sweet eyes and very
people took her seriously, and that's important. Changed, probably changed my brain chemistry too. Seeing people take her seriously in a man's world, it's like I lived that in a man's world for a long time as a young girl, which is another subject. But it was fun, and it, was fun having my first job and, that kind of thing through my mom. And I try to do those things now. My daughter actually works for my company, and it's her first job. And, I send her pay and I think
that's really cool.
That's really cool. Let's zone in on that one. So being a young, preteen and teenage girl working for a strong mother who's also a female business owner way back in the days. Now you are a business owner and you have your preteen and now teenage daughter working for you. What do you implement that you learned? And what do you maybe change and then give to her that maybe you had wished you had gotten?
As far as working for my mom, and everyone who worked for my mom can attest to this, she was not afraid to fire us. Megan worked for her. Bart worked for her. She would wake up.
Shout out to Bart Lattimore.
We're late. You're fired. She didn't show us special attention which I have not gotten to that point of our relationship with Mia, my daughter. We haven't gotten there yet. She's worked a few jobs, and I had her friend work a few jobs with us. But my mom, she was not afraid to do that, and she didn't treat us differently because we were her kids. She really didn't, and you were there. She did not treat us different. If we had to be on time, we had to be there working. If you got time to stand, you got
time to lean.
Yeah,
you got time to clean.
She was very much like that. Go organize those brake pads. Go back in the back and do some, sweep the floor. Stop sitting there, that kind of thing. And I anticipate I'll be that same kind of mom boss, but
But I feel like that being tough is part of it, though, right?
It is.
Because you
gotta
want
have
to
a happy
instill.
Medium. You can't have your kid mad at you. So
do you feel like you tailor your approach more to the I'm going to be as supportive as I am disciplinarian?
Yeah, I'm not a huge disciplinarian. I don't yell very often. And so I don't think Mia's ever been grounded. I don't think she's ever...
But she's turned out pretty well.
She's also a really great kid, so there's that. I have two more that we'll see. But, So
to be seen, right?
Yeah, I'm not a huge disciplinarian because I never want my kid to go to bed sad. And so that might be to a fault. It might be, I might not do it enough.
Well, we're all learning.
And I'll find out in 10 years if maybe I should have grounded her those few times. I'll find that out. But for now, I don't have it tailored a lot differently. We have a casual parent-child relationship. So, I don't, it's different. It's definitely different from how my mom was. We had chores. And, allowance and all that. Yeah. And
money ain't free.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, we put in the work.
So what about the I'm really, really interested in I know that you did the modeling deal, which is awesome, and it's a creative place in its own. Yeah. The painting and the artwork and the exceptional stuff you do there. Did you grow up doodling and being able to draw and just kind of get it? Because you know how some people, they can just sit there and they draw something and then they're like, throw it away. And you're like, dude, what the did you just draw that guy right there?
This is one of the things too for me. Like I have a lot of care for and appreciation for, because I can barely draw a stick figure.
Right.
So for somebody who can actually paint or draw something,
Really just cliche Jason in the house.
I really was always a creative kid. My room when I was young was full of, I painted with nail polish and I had murals with Sharpies, and back then it was magazine collages, and my mom thankfully let me do whatever I wanted to do in my room, and I think
explore your creativity.
That helps your creativity.
I think that's a very, very important lesson right there, is as a parent, letting your child explore their creativity, right?
Yeah.
Right. Not like stifling their flame, so to speak.
Right.
Well, and I tell people a lot, she repainted our house a lot when we were young, and she never repainted my room. And part of me is always like, oh, thanks, you didn't. But I think it would have been really hard to redo my room, because when I moved out when I was a teenager, she said she had to put like 5 coats of Kills on the walls just to get everything off. So maybe it was that. Maybe it was just, she's like, I don't know what to do with this room. Just forget it.
So what was your, as far as the painting and the drawing, obviously, did it start just from pencil sketching?
Yeah, I was always in this sort of coined part of my business name, which is Dottie Doodles. I was a doodler, and Jason knows that because he worked the counter and I was the driver on the other side of the counter, and there was just constant sticky notes of doodles. Yeah. And I was a doodler. I wasn't, and I still am just, when I do draw, it's very much just these patterns of doodles, but I don't illustrate is the difference.
Do you doodle like that? Like, that's a doodle.
Yeah.
That's a doodle.
I don't know what that is.
Top left. We're
Little
gonna call
demon. It looks like a demon.
I'm just impressed that he wrote a sentence.
We're going to call him. We're going to call him Petty Preston.
I'm not sure.
Petty Preston.
Super creepy.
Anyway, I doodle.
Yeah, so I was always a doodler.
Petty Preston's got a couple of charges.
He might have killed a few people.
Yeah. So back in the day, I was not a painter. I did not paint when I was little, and I actually did not tap into painting until maybe 2016.
Damn.
Yeah,
really?
I didn't. I did not paint.
Because your stuff is incredible.
Yeah, and it sounds a little silly. I had no idea I could do that until I did it. And even my dad says it all the time. He's like, I saw one of your paintings, and I was like, what? Because I guess I just, in my youth years, I was not aligned with people who were in the arts, and that's not a bad thing. I just wasn't.
It just wasn't.
Wasn't. And then, but I was always a creative, and I just, around that time, I started to be like, I want to do these things, and I did it, and I was like, damn.
Right, it's good.
Yeah, I didn't even know I could do that. And
how do you criticize your own work? Are you?
I hate it.
Great question.
Yeah.
And then the more I look at it, I'm like, fuck, I hate that. Yeah. I hate it. I hate it.
See, I love that. Honestly, I love that truth. I love that transparency.
A lot of artists are like that.
They should
like,
be.
The more you stare at it, you're like, I hate everything about this.
I think we have the same. I think we have the same problem. When we talk about doing these podcasts, I'm like, man, I cringe at hearing myself.
I'm not very
watching.
I'm not very confident, and I don't know if it could just be me. I'm not like, oh man, I killed that. Right. I killed that painting, but I'll hear other people be like, this is beautiful, it's amazing, and I'm like, really? It's like the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And you're like, me?
Well, I think it keeps that humility in place.
Does it not keep you sharp, though?
It keeps you sharp, because I'm going to tell you that a very off-putting thing for me, for anybody. I love confidence. I want my daughters to be confident young women. I love my confidence my wife has, my mom has, my sons. I don't like that cocky, arrogant. I don't like that. I don't do anything for me. It doesn't make me want to communicate with you any further, or even try to find out what's going on. So
it's a fine line.
I think that it's so cool that when when you can cringe at your own stuff.
Yeah.
And you can, and a painting is different than a song. Yeah. I can go back in the song and go delete.
Yeah, I've had that conversation before
and
too.
I can go in and fix it, which I do all the time at the studio at my house. When your painting's up on the wall and you're just like,
that's what it is.
It's the wrong fucking blue. What is it?
Yeah.
But you can't go back in.
But see, that's why I'm a big fan, because the paintings that I look up on my wall, who are on Facebook Live, you'll see them. They look good the first day. They look good now.
So
and those are both hers.
And I'm both of hers.
I didn't know they were both yours.
Yeah. So
Huge
what's fun is that I started the abstract. So the painting thing has had a lot of phases. So I started out with, like we were talking about, the character reproductions.
Yeah.
I did those, and those were fun, and those were actually a way that I sort of found my groove in painting. I just found a groove. It's like, okay, I don't know what to paint. I'm gonna paint something I've seen before.
Right.
And so I did those, and it was fun. And then in the middle of COVID, somebody asked me if I would paint their dog, and I had never painted a dog before, and I was like, I guess. And it turns out I'm really good at it.
Really?
And don't ask me to paint a person, don't ask me to paint a portrait, but for some reason I started doing pet portraits, and they were awesome. And then I look back at some of them, and I'm like,
you did really good. So good.
Yeah,
it's okay to compliment yourself.
Yeah, and so then I did those for a while, and I did pretty well with those.
So if I send you a picture of our little baby Margot, you'll paint her up?
I haven't done one in a long time, but I have, and then I did those for a while, and then I sort of wanted to move on to something else. So I started doing the abstract, and it was somebody asked me to do an abstract, which the one that I did, the first one that I did, I hate it. I look back, I hate it so much.
Do you still have it, or you
No, it was
a
commission, and they loved it. And I look back at pictures of it, and I'm like, I don't care for it. But then I started to realize, with the abstract, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
And I tell people, and I tell the kids in my art camps, I'm like, art is literally whatever you want it to be.
Right.
You could love it. He could hate it. He could hate it. You could love it.
It doesn't matter.
Is just getting things out, just doing things
when you're
with
doing
your
a painting
hands.
like that abstract over there. Do you is there a process involved in it? Like, you got to have earbuds in, or do you listen to music, or does it have to be windows open?
Sometimes I do them out in the yard.
Right.
Sometimes I have my youngest daughter Nora, I have her help me, and I just like to see them come together. You start out with one little splash, and then you're like, okay, but I actually want to cover that up, and then you just kind of build in layers and layers and layers, cool. And they come out really nice. And my dad has one above in his bathroom above the toilet, and he's always like, I always see something different every time I look at it. I see something different.
See, that's cool.
And I think that's kind of what I liked about doing the abstract, and I did those for a while, and I actually haven't done one since yours, and it's just, I'm very bouncy.
Well, we would like to purchase a abstract.
That was actually one of my questions, as far as, because when we talked about this before, you said that you wanted to make something for us for the podcast.
Yeah, I did.
I can't believe you didn't bring it with you.
I know, and I thought about that
Why
a few
is it
days
not here?
ago. I did. I wanted to make something with the logo incorporated in it. So I'll have to figure out what looks really
You may have to hold up, because apparently there's a rebranding of the logo.
We might be rebranding.
Yeah.
So, but hey, when the thing about art in general is when you're putting your work out there, it's to be judged by the world, right?
I know, it's so sensitive.
So let's take a different approach, right? So when you modeled back in the day,
I did briefly, yeah.
Wow, that's like, you're talking about putting things out there for
It's
the
your
world
face.
to judge. It's
It's your entire
You were very good at it.
Give us the whole spectrum. Give us the what did you feel like doing the modeling? I mean, young models, what are they going to have to deal with?
So I can only speak on my experience. I was never professional. I did it very briefly from the time I was maybe 18 to a little bit after I had Mia, which was 23.
Okay.
I did it here and there locally. I was in a local wedding catalog, so I did a wedding bridal shoot, and that was fun. And it's fun to like take on different characters, but you're very critical on yourself, and a lot of the times, the photographers love the pictures that you hate.
Really?
Yes, and they post them, and you're like, that is the one I hated. And you're like, I hate how this looks. I hate how this looks. And you could be really harsh on yourself. And,
Is the process of it grueling, like the start to finish?
It's a long day. It's a long day, and it's a lot of pause, and it's a lot of redoing your hair and your makeup, and it's freezing. I did one bathing suit shoot, and it was freezing. It was like December, and you're like trying to take a picture, but this is what they want, and they want these pictures ready by the time it's springtime. So you know, you got to do that, and you got to catch the sun in the right way. I did a shoot on the beach, and we had, in order to get the sunset the right way, we had to be out there at 5 a.m.
Cold as hell.
Shout out to my sister, who has always been my number one fan. She got me up, drove me to the beach. We were up at 4:30 so we could be on that beach and ready at 5 o'clock just to get these, beautiful sunrises with all the crazy colors. And you look back on the pictures, and of course they're edited, but the colors were actually the colors. And so to get that, you got to get out there.
But see, so the whole modeling thing is a whole different avenue with women.
Yeah,
that's a whole different thing.
And a lot of it I don't know about. A lot of it, that when you get deep into it, I don't know a lot about that.
But I mean, you are a woman who's been in that realm. So what would you tell the women who they're probably in, cut weight, or you need to change your hair?
Did you ever have that?
I didn't, because I was, as y'all know, I was always skinny mini. I was teeny tiny. There was not a pound I could lose on earth to fit anything. But I think it's different now, because now there are more pro normal bodies. Right. And these ads are pro normal bodies, and I think that's awesome.
I think it's how it should
normal bodies are still winning.
Yes. Yeah.
They're still winning. And
dad bods, am I right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know what it's like in the professional modeling world, where you start to get on all these Gucci ads and catalog. I don't know about that.
But it used to be different back in the day. It was kind of the one.
But now they want to see your flaws. They want to see your.
I think it makes it more real and more authentic. I mean,
absolutely.
Think about this, like the model deal back in the day. If we're talking even just 10 years ago, if you say, what do you think a model female looks like? Tall, very skinny, very, very sharp jaw.
And that's not a normal body.
That's not a normal body. And guess what? And this is just me talking. That's not something that is attractive to me. Right. Not saying that there's something wrong with that, because there's people that do like that. Right? Yeah. But I like the fact
unhealthy though.
I like the fact that you can see someone that is modeling any clothing, any kind of deal, and that fits the narrative for women that have normal bodies.
Yeah.
So when you're a woman that's a little more voluptuous, and you're seeing these skinny bitches, I'm joking. No.
Pause.
No,
I'm supposed to say bitch on the empowerment episode.
Shit. But no.
Thank you for keeping him in check.
But you see it, and it's like, that's not realistic to me. I can never wear an outfit like that.
But that goes back to the pressures that I was talking about when you're young. You are the quiet girl who might have a little bit extra weight on her, or maybe you haven't hit puberty as soon as so-and-so did, and you're like, I wish I looked like that girl.
Right.
And that is one of those women pressures that is not the same in the boy world. Yeah. Boys are boys. There's fat boys, skinny boys, and when you're young, you're 10 years old, you see a little fat boy, he's just a fat boy. You see a little skinny boy, he's just a skinny boy, and they're out there being boys throwing mulch.
Look at me.
It's like
throwing mulch.
You're just throwing mulch and making mud pies. And these girls are looking at these magazines. looking at these magazines like, why don't I look like, whoever it was popular back then.
Women in the creek.
Well, we talked while boys are out there
rocks.
playing G.I. Joes in the dirt. We talked about this on former episodes as far as like females, like everything that you're fed as far as magazine,
And
print,
and now
TV,
it's totally different from when we were young. They're being fed everything instant on their phones, on the apps, and everything is curated, everything's edited. These posts are not the first picture, it's the 100th picture, and it's edited, and their bodies aren't real, and this is that. And you've got our young girls who are like, when am I going to look like that? You're not. She went to a surgeon.
So think about
You're
that, though.
not gonna look like
That's a good point.
There's
about that.
fitness influencers who promote fitness with doctored bodies.
Yeah, which is wild to me.
And they think, our kids think it's real.
So that's what's wild to me. Back when we grew up, obviously the Baywatch, I mean, this is showing our age here, but like Baywatch, like, fake boobs were always a thing, right? Well, then you jump up 20 years, fake cheeks, fake forehead, fake butt, fake everything. Yeah. And it's like, God, blood, like what?
That's why I say normal bodies will always be winning.
Yeah,
because
I love that. Yeah.
You know, and there's not a lot of that. You know, there is a lot of that being promoted now too, in spite of all of that. Right. It's like, hey, you don't have to change all these things. It goes back to loving who you are and what God gave you. Right. Like, this is what you got. And you gotta love it, you know. And we don't know how a lot of these things that people are doing now are going to affect them 10 years. The facelifts, they're showing a lot of the celebrities.
God, these poor ladies.
It's stretching their skin, and then it's like now it's sagging. Whereas before, you just had a normal little aging face,
right?
And it's just all it is so much. That's why
I think is crazy. Attractive. I literally think it's attractive to look the way that you're supposed to look.
You are. You can't look like a baby girl forever.
To like watch it.
You're not supposed to look 14.
Yeah.
Your body's not supposed to look 20 when you're 40. It's not.
Can I tell you what it is in the guy world? In the guy world, it's when a guy walks up and you know him, and his beard is just black as night, hair black as night, and you're looking at him like,
yeah.
Hey, you know that I know you, right? Like, we're boys.
Yeah.
No, I know.
You know your shit is like silver fox kind of.
Hey.
Yeah.
What do you mean? No, I mean, like, I just woke up.
Yeah.
I love it all. I don't change nothing.
I like the fact that I'm getting the Tim Bass beard coming in. It's something that my dad's posted all over my house, obviously, or whatever like that. And I don't remember my dad with a brown beard. Yeah. I remember my dad with a freaking, you remember how silver his hair was? Yeah. And the dude was like 40 and this man had silver hair. It's probably because,
didn't care.
Yeah. I like that. It shows your age.
I think that's coming back too, though, because there's a lot of women that are going silver.
Yeah. But there's a lot of women that are dyeing their hair silver.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean.
That's almost a fad now?
Yeah.
What?
And they're going silver, and it's like a thing now. And it's, I mean, it is what it is. To each their own. If you feel most beautiful in if you feel most beautiful with the silver hair, do it.
Can we get a second pour in? We're going to go ahead and take the second pour now. But yeah, all right. So let's kind of switch away from that, right? As far as the whole arts thing, in business, your mom, from what I know, right?
I'm taking a shot of that fucking whiskey. I love your mom.
Your mom was always involved in multiple businesses.
She was. She still is. Yeah.
Yeah. No, she still dabbles in a lot of different things. And now you're dabbling.
I am, and my
businesses
could not be more unrelated.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell everybody, hey, what do you do? And I'm like, well,
how much time you got?
I actually do everything. I actually do all the things all the time.
All the things. So all right. So
what businesses?
So we go from arts. We go from poetry. We go from modeling. We go from painting, doodling all over a counterman's everything, tablets and everything like that, to the business sense, and you actually owning businesses and starting this for yourself. Mm-hmm. What did you learn from kind of the past past in those business ventures now, and where are you at in your business ventures now?
Specifically, so
Yes, actually, no. I mean,
do us a favor and make something up that sounds cool.
Hypothetically.
So I own an event business right now. It's called Wonder Event Rentals, and I have an amazing business partner. Shout out Sydney.
Thank you, buddy.
We do event decor, and I sort of picked up on that from someone else who is very special in my life, and she owns an event
You
business.
just throw it halfway up in there.
And I picked up stuff. I worked for her for many, many years. I feel like you're not listening.
I am listening. Hannah, all I care about is listening.
I'm just a girl.
I'm just
Dottie Doodle.
just a little baby girl.
Dottie Doodle.
You know, girls want to be listened to.
Dude, I want to listen to you.
I'm listening the
I
whole
do.
time. I mean, I'm
Sean's
I've been
over here.
trained.
Got my
I've
drink.
been trained.
Thank you, Bubba.
Thank you for saying thank you.
I do. I say thank you, and I
yeah,
want to listen to you. Can you say everything from the very beginning of this podcast again, so I can listen to it
I
all?
don't need more of that. What'd you do with the decanter?
I'm fucking sitting right here. It's over there.
It's 2 pours.
This is the most unprofessional podcast.
I'm gonna have to get a fucking
We have
Uber to
done-
the baby shower. Hey, Sean, can I fit? I said fill it all the way up with ice. I fucking push the whole bottle in here. Hey, we are talking about drinking
Get you a
responsibly here at the
glass of the
Two Pour
sacrament.
Podcast in Indian Trail. This bottle was full before Hannah got here.
Thank you, Sean.
She's on her first Moscow. Was that bad?
No, it's good.
It was horrible.
It's good.
I thought I did a really good job.
It's good. Okay.
All right, so where are we at now?
Right?
I love it. I love this
It's
stuff.
like a man.
I know. Just
Needs
so.
that reassurance.
I don't need reassurance. I'm sick of being around both of y'all, though.
Is this Jimmy Empowerment Month, or we're just let's
I
find
just
ways to
realized
empower you,
something.
my dude?
I just realized something. Okay, is that I'm being ganged up on here. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And for all the guys that have to take Lexapro and other kind of mood stabilizers, I understand. I know where you're coming from. Pause. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right.
I had to be all about Jimmy for a second.
I know.
I got it all out of my system.
Well, it is Female
You know?
Empowerment Month.
Speaking about you, let's talk about you.
Jimmy.
All right, well, look, guys and gals, Sagittarius, and
Like long walks on the beach.
Okay. Anyway,
All right. Anyway,
it all
so
up.
with all the different businesses.
I own a business.
Yes, you own businesses.
So we're talking.
But one of the things that that you said was paramount for you was also being in the service industry.
Oh yeah. So I was
So
in
how
the
did that-
service industry for about 10 years, maybe longer, and I really loved it, and I loved connecting with people. But it takes the years off of your life. And during COVID, I worked for a restaurant, and everyone was shut down, and
Yeah.
I sort of took that as like, I actually don't want to go back.
Good for you.
I don't want to go back to doing that, which they didn't ask me to come back. But
Don't bring that Hannah chick back.
I
She's
didn't
all
make the
bad.
cut, which is fine because I did take that as, you know what, I can do this myself, and I can make my life.
Good for
and
you.
I can be my own boss. And ever since then,
Yeah.
I sort of am like, I'm gonna make my way, and I'm gonna find my way. And I do miss it sometimes. I do miss my regulars, and I do miss talking to people. But a lot of the people that I, gained friendships with are still in my life and in my businesses and have purchased artwork for me. I've done
cool.
murals for them. They
Yeah.
still contact me, for various things. So I enjoy that thing,
So
great to have
that
those
right there,
connections, man.
those connections, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's important regardless of wherever you're at to make those connections to propel
Yeah.
your business interests
Well,
or
in
friendships or
business.
lessons in life.
In business,
it's
like
huge.
there's nothing more. I feel there's nothing more important than having your connections.
with good connections,
good
and
connections
good
with-
relationships.
Right.
Yes.
But having that to
Vital.
where they help catapult you. They help that, because unbeknownst to us, I mean, we see something on Facebook about Dottie Doodles camp, and our twins were Ashley was like, "Oh, I signed the girls up for the deal."
Yeah.
The girls come home from it and they couldn't be more just, "Oh my God, Dad, it was so much fun. We did this and did that." And
camp
so
is fun.
for you to for you to do those kind of things, like it's a business, but on the other side of it, I feel like you really enjoy it. And
well, you should be doing what you enjoy.
Well, not everybody does, Hannah. You know that.
I
right?
know. And
But that's good though. So the camps, right? The Dottie Doodles art camps that you're doing for all young kids,
still do
male,
that?
females.
yeah,
Okay.
I do it annually every summer.
Okay,
And
so-
I do it on holidays. We have Christmas camp and things like that. And
Okay,
it's a good
expand a
way.
little
bit. Is it Instagram? Just to plug that in, because I think it's important. I really,
Absolutely.
we care about small businesses. We care about local businesses.
Yeah.
We care about you, obviously. We love you to death. How can they find your event company, and how can they find Dottie Doodles?
I do my best. I do have an art camp page. It's Dottie Doodles Art Camp
on Instagram.
But on my Instagram, which is Dottie Doodles CLT Charlotte.
Okay.
I do my very best. I'm not the best at social media.
We're gonna post that on.
Sean is very good at that.
So
And we'll put that. We'll definitely
I post
overlay that.
everything for my businesses on my one page, which is Dottie Doodles Charlotte CLT. And I'm still getting my feet wet with a lot of things. Camp, I'm in. I enjoy camp. Yeah, I enjoy camp a lot. We have kids of all ages. We get to come out and have fun. I tell the kids, I'm not your mom. I'm not your teacher. I don't want to be mean. I want to have fun.
So let's have fun.
Let's have fun.
Is that the overall inspiration then? It's just have fun?
Have fun, but we do art, we do crafts, we have a splash day, we have, I'll get the bounce houses out there, we have fun, but
really cool, dude.
The camp we had recently, the last one, it was great. We had a tattoo artist come, we had a body artist come, she does body paint, and the kids got to paint all over her, and we had a
Continue.
beekeeper come, and he's come to a few camps.
He brought bees.
Yeah, shout out Jesse.
That's cool.
Young Jesse, you're crazy. Hey, let me guess, and I don't mean to
He's
sound
not
like this.
young.
He's white, right?
But let me tell
Because that's
you,
some white people shit.
But I met
Continue.
Jesse in the service industry. He was a
There you go.
bartender at the last
Well,
job,
see-
and I brought him to my camp.
Well, see,
and
that's the deal.
he,
Connections.
and he is does what he loves.
So he just gets stung by bees all day.
No, he
Fucking
actually sets
immune
up.
to-
He
With the
sets
suits
up.
on, you're not getting stung.
He sets up.
Sorry, it's not about us, it's about you.
Done. Y'all don't care about any of my answers.
Yes, all of them.
Girl, you've been answering this for
I'm
12 minutes. No, that's what you-
No, so we had the beekeeper come, and yes, he brought bees and bee suits, and the kids tried on bee suits, and he brought honey and all the things he made from the honey, and and we had Bunny come, who is a prestigious local artist and also one of my friends. She brought the art bus, and so the kids get to engage in things that they don't normally engage in normal life.
Education.
Yeah, and they take
They're
away
learning
something.
new things.
They take away something more than just we had fun, we played all day, we played games, we got dirty. They take away a little bit more, not too much, because it's not school. I want to have fun.
Well, and get them away from electronics. Get them away from
Yes,
stuff
away
that's
from
just.
that.
It's that little, we talk about the little sliver as far as the creative pie.
Yeah.
It's adding on to their whole experience
at
of
this
life and
age,
giving them something
they're
different.
figuring out what they love.
Right.
And you don't know what you love until you
try things.
experience what you love.
It's like your grandmother said, which I'm gonna be thinking about this line. I mean, I was a different woman then, right?
And
Or I
you
was
don't
think about when you were 5 to 10, 10 to 15. I mean, think like.
But
And
also,
not everything's comedy here, okay? All right. Sorry, that's Alexa.
This goes back to your whole day of.
But my thing is like, the fact that you can get these kids out there and get them away from the stuff that's poisoning our kids.
Great point.
I'm telling you, I'm not I'm guilty of it too because we depend on our phones so much. Right now, I want to tell both of y'all right now, let me have your phones. I'm going to throw them in the trash. And you can't have another one for 2 weeks.
Really?
Sometimes I'd be like,
you're going to spend 3 days to 4 days fucking having anxiety.
decompressing, having FOMO, like
right?
you're missing out.
But then,
What about the whole AT&T thing this week?
right.
Can't
but was
relate.
that China?
Can't relate.
Can't relate.
Yeah.
But I mean,
It ain't me.
Sorry about that, guys.
I was on the
Sorry.
internet.
I was texting.
I'm sorry, y'all are idiots.
Stupid ass.
But the Facebook pictures of AT&T customers, and it was the picture of the Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Well, I mean,
But-
to go outside and, like you said, demagnetize, go outside, take your shoes off, put your feet on the earth, go out there and get the sun shining on your face. There's too many times that we spend indoors with our face in the computer, face in the iPad, face in the whatever electronic, and you're getting nothing out of it, right? So for you, like with your daughters, like I know because we have babies.
Yep.
Had babies. I'm sorry, mine are old as shit now.
Yours.
How do you how do you tell them, hey man, can you get off your phone or can you do something?
Yeah.
You really can't with Mia,
it's
right?
hard. Well, with Mia, thankfully, she's not obsessed with her phone.
Oh, good for her, man. Shout out to Mia.
She's not upset. She is on it. Don't get me wrong.
Unshout out to Mia.
She's on it, but I really never had to take it away from her or anything.
Okay.
But with Nora, it's a little different. She's 5. And for me, it's a little different. I can only speak from my experience. The age gap between my kids is enormous.
Right.
From Mia to Nora's 9 years. From Nora to my son is 5 years. So they all have different phases right now.
Right.
And so Mia's got her social life, and Nora is like, play with me.
Yeah.
And Mia's like, I'm on the phone with my friends.
Yeah.
And Nora's like, play with me. And then I'm like, I can't hold. I have the baby right now. And then, so it's hard.
So middle child kind of.
Yeah, but and I try to pay attention to those things, and I'm like, okay, I feel like she's been on an iPad for 2 days. Let's take her to do something,
right?
That kind of thing. But it's a default thing that became a default thing 10 years ago, the iPad and that kind of thing.
Well, to keep them busy, right? While especially
so
while
we're
you got
all
the little
guilty
one.
of just letting it be like, you just watch your iPad for a minute while I wash dishes, So I do my best, but it's sometimes I tell them all the time, we didn't have an iPad in the car. We had to sit with our thoughts and look out the window.
Let me tell you.
Whenever my mom wanted to go somewhere for 4 hours, we just had to sit there for 4 hours. It's not.
I'm going to tell you
being
something about what she
entertained.
just said. It's like, and I've said this too. It was when Josh got his license, and I said, "All right, where you going?" I'm going to go over to Uncle Scott's and Aunt Mary's to go see Michael. Okay. Do you know how to get there? Because I don't want you looking at your phone.
Yeah, right.
Then I said, and this is not to shit on Josh, but this is real, and this is not just my house. This is, I'm sure, a lot.
Yeah.
What road do we live on?
Yeah.
Okay. When you take a left on that, what road's that?
Yeah.
Now listen.
Yeah.
We grew up in go up, take a left on Rolling Oak,
You have
take
to
a right on
remember.
Hickory.
A fire tree.
We
Dude.
were out here.
We were out here. Hey, I know.
We were out here.
I know that there's a Bojangles coming. There's the Bojangles
And
that
we
share
didn't
Boom,
even
take a
have
right.
a phone to call somebody if we were lost.
You had to find
You
your
had
way.
to find a human to talk to
Right.
and be like, how do I get to Eastland
Yeah.
Mall? Like, you had to talk to the guy at the gas station.
Yeah.
And God forbid any of these teens talk to another human. I got to talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever
gotta
talk to that stupid looking person over there?
Yeah, you have to
I don't even
ask
like
him
them.
a question. But
Have you seen their shoes?
Yeah.
And then, so like the kids these days, my daughter would look and be like, "Look, I need to get to Eastland Mall. Where is it? Stupid up." Like, you know what I mean? It's-
Well, first of all,
So it's definitely different.
so raising kids is different in general. So
Yeah.
how does being a mom of 3 now, different age groups,
Can't believe
how does that play into the professional career of managing businesses and juggling motherhood?
It is hard.
Right.
It is very hard, and I'm still catching my groove because
You're always going to.
yeah, there's
there,
gonna be a different groove, and next year is gonna be different. But this groove right now is what we got to go with.
You just got to stay the course.
Yeah,
you know
and
what I
you
mean?
just gotta find the time, and just some days are a blur.
Yeah.
Some days
So-
are a blur, and I'm winging it. And the best thing I can hope for is just make it to tomorrow.
Yeah.
you're at the end of the day, you're exhausted. It's 8 o'clock. You're like,
Right.
if somebody asks me for one more thing, I'm going to scream.
I will flip right now.
But you got to just tell yourself tomorrow's a new day. It's okay if you didn't meet your to-do list today, because that thing's still going to be sitting on the table tomorrow.
Right.
It's okay if you didn't hit all your bullet points. Just wake up tomorrow. Just try again. Tomorrow's a new day. Just keep trying.
Yeah.
Like,
So if-
it's all you can do.
Just try to stay positive, right?
Yeah, and that's
in the
also
wildness.
hard too. It's hard to stay positive, but you got to find it.
Yeah, yeah.
You got to find it.
So
every
young
day.
mothers, older mothers, give yourself grace.
Yeah, you have to.
Would that be?
Yeah, you have to give yourself grace, and you have to force that positivity, even if you're not totally feeling it. You got to find it, and it's hard because.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite quotes is, pessimism, when you get used to it, is just as agreeable as optimism.
Right.
Once you get used to it, and you have to catch yourself. You have to catch yourself and listen to every thought. Then you're like, wow, that thought was a little bit self-loathing. I should probably toe back on that. And you have to, and
So Jimmy's big about get out of here with negative thoughts.
yeah, and you got to be your own hype man, and you got to be like, because you can't depend on everybody else to give you what you need. You got to source from inside.
You got to take care of your star player.
You can't depend on outsourcing your motivation. That motivation comes from here.
Yeah.
You can have a hype man say, hey, come on, let's get up, go to the gym. Cool.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful. And I wish I had that. But you're not going to have that every day. So
Right.
you have to
You be
gotta
that-
pull it from these places where you don't even know it exists. You got to pull it and say, okay, I didn't do my best today. That's okay. That's okay, because I can't do good every day. I can do good tomorrow. I can try. I can wake up and try. That's all you can do.
Quality.
Is keep trying.
Quality, mate.
Some days you're just maintaining, but
And that's okay. Every day,
Yes.
and I tell my kids this too. Every day is not gonna be Disneyland. Every day is not gonna be I am in my best mood. And you gotta feel those feels. When you're feeling down, you gotta feel it, and you gotta be like, why am I feeling this? And when you are thinking about your lowest and you're like, I don't know why I'm feeling this way, and you can say, it's that. And you say, okay, well, if it's that, how can I change that? I can either disconnect from that if it's something that's not, that is around and you can't change it. Okay, I can disconnect from that and say, okay, you do you. But if it's something you can say, hey, I think I feel like crap because I'm eating too much crap all the time. Control it. Find something that you can control. Control the shit out of it. And you can just try different things.
Control the controllables.
Yeah, you have to.
It's not about us.
You
I
do.
mean, it just happens.
So all right, so we talked about a whole lot of topics here, and
I
you've just
love
been
it.
Yeah.
killing it with wisdom.
I told you.
Killing it
the
with wisdom.
quality.
I am
the
so
quality.
But I'm not wise though. I'm just winging
No,
it. Okay, I'm winging life like yo.
Don't do that.
Hold up! Don't do that. Don't do that because I'm sitting back and listening more than I've ever had on any of these episodes.
Me too.
What you have dropped on this episode, I cannot wait to go back and listen to. Killing it is great advice. It doesn't matter for women, men, and anything, young, old.
But I want to
We're all in the same boat.
I want to
We're all
comment
in
on
the same boat.
I want to comment
I
on
know.
this.
No
though.
one's exempt from any of these
Got
things.
it. I want to comment
know,
on this though.
dispensing it.
Don't tell me that you're not wise.
Okay,
You're
then
just
I'm wise.
Because
I'll let
you-
you empower me.
no. It ain't. No, it's not about me.
No.
It's not about me doing that.
You
it's
empowered
just,
it.
It's just I'm
listening audience.
very big on recognizing what's real and also disconnecting with what's not. And what you've been saying has been quality there.
Absolutely.
Our job on a podcast is to sit and talk. This has been the first podcast where I've been just sitting here listening, which that's a part of interviewing, but your quality that's coming out because women need to hear other confident, wise
There's a lot of
women
expectations set out there.
Because
and we feel like we're never going to meet them.
Right.
And especially in the world of TikTok and Instagram and all these perfect
Male
lives you're
chauvinist
seeing.
bullshit
and all
that people
these
are following.
videos of your perfectly organized refrigerator. And then you wake up and your house is trashed from your 2 toddlers. And you're like, I'm never going to be that girl on there. You don't have to be that girl. It's not real life. She's making content so she can make money and go her. Do your thing.
Be confident.
Go
in you.
boo.
But you
Do your
can.
thing,
But
boo.
also the thing is, you can do that too. You can do that too, and that's one of the things I think that women need is you can do anything. You can do anything. All you have to do is be interested in it.
Do you like
All you have to
seeing?
do is, I want to learn how to fix a car.
Do you
Okay,
like
go
seeing?
on YouTube.
Do you like seeing other women succeed and do well?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I think there is room at the table for everyone. There is not you can, and I tell this to people all the time, you're a tattoo artist, let's pretend.
I am.
Yeah, because I'm pretending right now.
My
You
spare
can't
time.
tattoo every person on earth.
No.
So
I can try.
why would you hate on another tattoo artist?
Yeah, that's
Who
a great
cares?
point. That's
Who cares? You can't tattoo every human on earth.
it was-
Let them do their thing and be like, hell yeah.
great work.
Do
and
your
congratulate
thing.
them.
Hey, I'm not available today, but my boy is.
Yeah.
So and so. You can't be like, no.
Collaborate.
Come
Yeah.
to me. That's
Only come to
that,
me. I'm booked up till next March.
Yeah, that's that weird energy. And you
Yeah.
and that is in the business world. You can't have that. You have to be like, that's my girl. She does the same thing I do.
Right.
She might do it better. Actually,
Right.
this is something that so and so might actually do better. I can do it, but I really want so and so to do it.
So we've talked about
points.
this as business managers of not being afraid to tell the people who are under us what we're good at and also teach them how to do the same things that we're
Yeah.
doing and not being afraid of somebody else taking our job because we know how advanced we are. It's giving them everything that we have.
Well, this is
You know?
the world of information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's almost no reason that you don't know how to do something.
Right, because you have it at your fingertips, like you just
We
said.
had
excuses.
encyclopedias and AOL discs that worked sometimes
Right.
and dial-up internet. These you can
Took
Google.
7
I
months
can
to log
Hold on
into
real quick. I'm trying to find out what
AOL.com.
that word means.
I can Google right now how many flying fish exist, and it's
Yeah.
going to tell me in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
There's no reason you can't learn something you want to do if you don't know how to do it. Find somebody who can.
Yeah.
So, and that's
Ask them, say, hey, I don't know how to eat right. How should I eat right? And they're going to say, oh, well, this is the basic blah, blah, blah. And you say, okay, thank you.
Or they go to this site.
Yes. Yeah, there's always
seconds.
somebody who knows something that can teach you.
Yeah.
You can't, I can never be an artist. I tell people all the time, the art that I do, you could probably do it.
probably
probably-
not.
It's true, and we're in like DIY world right now. There's
Dude.
a DIY video for everything.
My
You're like,
wife-
oh man, how'd you make this? Okay, I can YouTube a
My
video
wife
right
will
now.
sit there.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't make it right 'cause you have
I'll come in. I'll come into from work, and she's making dinner. She's always making just these crazy masterpieces. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" She was like, "Oh, I'm just watching my DIY. I'm watching this girl recreate this
It's true.
used window into some deal." And if you go into my house, we literally she bought like these old these old louver windows or whatever you call them, and she put
no idea
pictures
what
in
that
them and put all this deal and put it up against the wall. It's gorgeous.
And that's why I get
But
amazed
the
at.
DIY stuff is there. The
Yeah.
information is there.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of questions are we coming up with at the end of this?
So-
I'm very interested to hear the questions we're going to ask her.
All right, yeah. So before we do that, I mean, the last question that I did have was, with all the things that you've learned, with all the things that you've advanced with as far as arts and business, what's next? What's next for Hanna Shook?
I have no idea. But I'm like,
And you're okay with that?
I'm always pumped about it.
Yeah.
Like I'm always pumped about like me and Mia have ideas for what she wants to
About not
do.
knowing, like,
Yeah, because you don't
So many
know
people
what-
get scared about
I think
that,
that's.
though. I
You
think
I'm
don't
not
know.
laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing like, damn,
You
like
don't
that's
know
ballsy as
because
hell. Like that's.
you don't
I like
That's
a-
pretty cool.
I like
dude.
a plan.
You-
I like having a plan.
Yeah, but some people do. But
know
like,
that.
and you can do both. It's like watered down though.
Well, I know that's what we did. For
This
you.
is why God gave me 2 middle fingers. You know what I mean?
It's okay to have a plan, and I love a plan. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. I do. I'm guilty of liking things a certain way, but not too much.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I'm gonna be doing, and that's okay because like this is working now. and it's
The
working
uncertainty
for-
is okay.
Yeah,
You
and
don't have to necessarily be organized and have everything laid out according to plan.
and everything's not always about making money and you can do what you love without it making you money.
Well, I think it's important to have your career and do what you got to do to make money, and then have a creative, have something on the side
Yeah.
that keeps your brain boosting in another
Yeah.
direction. Getting oversaturated in anything, spending too much time in anything
Is
makes
not
you
moderation.
consumed
Yeah.
and overly worried and anxious about something that you can't control, man.
Yep.
When I leave work, that's why they say when you leave work, leave it at
there.
the door.
Leave it there.
Like, go home and enjoy something, whether that's spending time in the kitchen, cooking, chilling with your partner.
You gotta get busy.
Do something.
And I know mine is the devil's playground. You got to get busy. You got to get out there and just find something to do. And if you can't, just go to the park.
I think it's healthy. I
Get
think
out
it's
of the
healthy.
house.
Take
Get
your
out
tail
of
to the park.
Get out of the house. Get out of your head. Get off your phone. Stop watching all these people doing all these things that you want to do, and either go do one of them. Take the leap and do one, and you might do it and be like, I actually fucking hate this.
Yeah, it actually sucks.
This actually sucks, and you'll be like, okay, cool. I'm gonna find something else I like to do, but
Yeah.
you gotta just stay busy.
I like that.
because you
Yeah.
can't just sit and.
Life is meant to be lived.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the segments that we do here on Two Poor Podcasts, right,
Okay.
is the 3
I
questions
know
feature.
I'm so nervous about this.
You should be very
So you
nervous
should be
about
very
it.
nervous about
So
this.
nervous.
All right, because we've all known each other for a long time, right?
like really
and-
long, like 20 years.
I know, and we've seen
More
each,
than 20.
more than 20, and we've seen
It's
each other.
like 27 or
We're old as fuck, boy.
So we have seen each other through some times, right? And situations. So here's
Oh, I've told you I'm an interrupter. I brought you something.
you brought me something. What did you bring me?
I brought
Oh, was he a Werther's guy?
Wow.
I brought you that. It's been in my pocket since
Oh
Tim
my
Mountain.
God. Do you want to tell the stories about these right? No. All right.
He's just an old man.
No, I am not. You were 80 in a 30-year-old's body. Oh
I got
man.
that from my mom's.
That is very, very interesting. There's a lot of stories about
Anyways,
that.
ask me your question.
Okay, never mind. All right. So
Ask me your dumbass man questions.
maybe I will give a write-up on these about how Hannah's very funny. Anyways, all right, first question. What happens first?
Oh, God.
Me getting married,
Okay.
you getting married,
Okay.
or the first female president?
I don't know. I don't know.
You got to give an answer. This goes back to all the stuff that we've seen each other through.
I don't know. We're really close. We're really close to a female president, though. I feel like that could happen.
Yeah.
I feel like that's
Before
really
y'all go, we're talking about
I could get married in 6 months. I could get married in a year. I don't know about you and your dating life. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's a lot to recall.
Wow. The whole, it's a lot
how
to
many-
recall. She put me off like this.
So bad.
Stiff arm here, NBA
bad.
player.
I don't know. Next question.
Oh, wow. I'm good. I'm glad to see you. All right, so
It's between the female president and me getting married.
Yeah.
okay, there you go. All right, so question number 2: what would you, going back to 16-year-old Hannah?
Okay.
What would you tell
Love
her?
her.
What would you tell 16-year-old Hannah?
Don't lose that girl. And this is hard to explain because this is me inside of my body, but you don't lose that girl because there's a time where because I was a young mom, I wasn't the youngest mom I ever heard of, but I did have my daughter when I was 22. And I feel like I immediately went from enjoying my youth to I have this really big responsibility. And that happens a lot with mothers too. You lose a lot of your identity when you're a mom because you become a mom and you forget that you're this human. You're like, hey, I'm not just a mom. I'm still a person, and I still love all those things that I loved when I was 16-year-old Hanna, and you have to keep those things around, and it's very hard when you're a mom. It's very hard because you're being pulled in all your different directions. You're taking care of your kids, your home, your husband, your spouse. You're getting them to school, and then there's 20 minutes left for you to be who you are if you're lucky. And it's hard for me. It was hard to lose that part of myself for so long. And I think that's what took so long for me to find the artist in me.
Wow.
And I really, it took that long. I was 20 something, 25, I don't know, however old I was in 2016. But there was that chunk of time where I was just winging it. I was a young single mom. I had, it was me and my girl. We had out here just trying to figure it out, trying to find our place, and trying to find me was on the back burner.
So don't lose yourself.
Don't lose that identity.
Dinosaur,
Don't lose that identity.
And, they say that the adult who, is creative is the child that survived. And you got to keep that. It took me a long time to find that person.
Marking them down.
It took a long time for me to find that person, and I still struggle to find time for her.
Yeah.
Because I am being pulled in 3 different directions.
But you're finding time for her now, though. That's most important.
I mean, I know we're at the end here. But, and this is not to gas her up and anything like that.
You can't gas me.
Okay.
I promise.
I'm
going to leave here and be like, what did I say?
Dude, I am like,
so much. So many
you gotta
gems.
understand, as him and I have known each other for 30 years.
Damn.
Or more.
Shush.
Okay. Oldest.
Only 20 because we just hit 30.
We have a thing where if somebody's talking and it's something whack, it might be, and only him and I know that. There's also about 10 times today while you're talking that I'm looking at him like, fuck you. It's
Gems.
just unbelievable, beautiful wisdom coming out of you that comes from what you did. Retain from these moments, these people, these situations. That all of us have quotes that the other guy or gal might not have heard, right? But it's not about that. It's about the build up to it and what it is and what it means to see you blossom into who you are. I think it's so corny for me to be like, oh, I'm just so proud of what you. But who the fuck does that mean? Dad. Yeah, who cares if I'm proud? What I'm saying is I'm very, very like blessed to see you. And my wife and I look at Facebook. There's been times where we've taken pictures of a screenshot of your kid and be like, can you believe this? Because
they are so cute. Right?
You got beautiful children.
I made them myself.
And you're decent. You're decent. But I really am such a big fan of where you're at now, and I know that where you're going to go is going to be to the moon. I'm excited for you. What's that last question?
So the last question of the 3-question segment here is, if you could introduce your kiddos to any of your heroes, who would they be?
Oh God.
Yeah. Hey.
I have to think about this.
I know.
Can I tell you something?
They already know a lot of my heroes, though. The people closest to me in my life. I do not have a celebrity or public hero.
Hero.
That's huge.
A hero.
I don't.
A hero
perception.
is your perception of it. It's not Julia Roberts is my hero. No, it could be your next door neighbor from 15 years ago. What I'm saying is,
that would be Joyce.
What's up, Joyce? Shout out to Joyce.
This is very important. This is very important for me too. I feel like if we're raising daughters, right? Why would we raise daughters to idolize celebrities? Idolize anybody out there?
I honestly,
the whole
and
local.
I don't have a specific, besides our family, people, you know,
Right.
her grandmas and their.
No,
you know,
that's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah,
is like the strong women who are within the context of the community.
That then they know. But I think for my girls would be the biggest thing is to just stay true to who you are, and you're your hero. Like,
Be your own hero.
and it sounds so corny.
No, it's not. I love it.
Be your own hero, but like no one's coming to save you. No one's coming to save you, and no one's exempt from all of this crazy world that we live in. We're all, whether you're rich and I'm poor, we all wake up and are like, what is happening? And no one's coming to save you, so you have to be your own hero. You really do. You have to find that and find your way. You have to find your way. You can't count on somebody else to be like, hey, tell me what I should do with my life. You got to figure it out, and you got to like it. You can't just say I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life, because you're gonna hit 20 years from now and you're gonna be like, I've been sitting behind this desk for 20 years and all I watch is florist videos.
Right.
Maybe you should have been a florist. Maybe you should just leap.
Yeah.
Like, take that leap. You gotta leap.
You gotta leap.
You can fly. Like,
you gotta
have
leap.
to.
They said you gotta. I don't know if it was a Steve Harvey show or whatever it was. Ghost sent it to me, and it was before a jump I was making and professionally back in like 2017. And Steve Harvey said you got to take that leap, and when you leap, you're gonna fall. You're gonna hit the rocks.
Yeah.
It's gonna hurt. You're going to get bumps and bruises. He was like, but I believe that God's not going to let me just leap and fall and die.
That's why they call it a leap of faith.
So I think it's very important for that to be for that to be something that people understand. That just because you're taking that leap, bro, we're young enough to bounce back.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? You're young enough to bounce back. So when we're 65 doing our 1,000th podcast with 275 different sponsors, I want us to know that, man, dude, even then we can take a leap. Then you can take a leap.
You can do anything you want to do.
Don't
You
live
literally
with regrets.
can wake up tomorrow and be like, I want to learn how to sew. And you go to Walmart and buy a sewing machine, and next thing you know, that's your thing.
Yeah.
And you quit your day job, and you don't know until you know. Like, you don't know.
You don't know until you know, folks.
You don't know until you know.
But I think that the biggest thing is, you are gonna try something and you're gonna fail. Everyone's gonna fail at some point.
Don't be afraid to.
And there's days where you're like, I don't think I'm gonna make it.
Right.
But you do, though.
You get past it.
You do. I don't think I'm gonna make it till tomorrow, and you wake up tomorrow and you're like, damn, I did though.
Yeah. You know
I could try it again today.
The feeling of failure when you care about something, and what goes through your mind, what goes through your emotions when you fail. And there's a few different types of people. You got the guy that can get back up. You got the gal that can get back up. And then you got the guy and the gal that can get back up with intentions.
Yeah.
Of saying, all right, motherfucker, I failed.
That's where
This happened.
But I'm about to come back at you.
That's where the healthy confidence comes.
Right.
Because you have to pull that out of yourself.
That
healthy
and I'm
confidence.
glad that we've learned so much of that and so much empowerment, through this episode. I'm glad that we've experienced and heard your wisdom and your life experiences to help all these women out here, whether it be young, mothers, business owners, or anything in the female industry.
Helping women and men. I know it's Women's
too.
Empowerment Month, but for crying out loud,
I'm sitting here
men, my fellow men, listen,
Women are
observe,
strong.
take it in. Absolutely, the strongest people I know on the planet Earth are women. My mother is the strongest, most brilliant person on the planet. I'll put her up against anybody. My wife is the strongest woman. Come on. I'm a fan of it. This is what I'm gonna say. There's been a couple.
Are you going to close us out with the parting shot then?
I am. Well, no, you know what? I'm just going to close this out saying this with the parting shot. Okay. I think that we live in this world that is so short-lived. Life is fragile. Things happen quicker than you know. You got your daughters that you send pictures to, all right? And you say, oh my God, this was just yesterday. I love you so much, my honeys, my dears, blah, blah, blah. And you send them these pictures of when they were just little babies that pop up, and they're 17 years old. That was yesterday. I was on the floor after work taking pictures of my baby daughters. That was yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay. 17 years pass. Gray hairs happen. People are no longer with us, unfortunately. You got your fails. You've got your wins. You've got all these kind of things. One victorious moment that I can say right now, being a father of daughters and being a very, very huge advocate of women and understanding that I was a putz for a long time, but it was just being a boy, right? It was being a boy trying to figure out what boys need to do, and then becoming a man and realizing with a strong woman behind you, you can end up changing that stupid boy mentality and that stupid kind of victim mentality and take accountability for who you are as a man for that woman. Because I'm going to tell you this, when they have those babies, they being
women,
you didn't have that baby. You don't have to go through what they go through with their bodies, with all that, changing the identity. Guess what, dude? I was such a schmuck when my daughters were born. I had Thursday Night Hip Hop, which you were a part of Thursday Night Hip Hop. What's up? I went to Thursday Night Hip Hop. What a schmuck. I should have stayed with my wife and my daughters that night.
That's hindsight.
That's the difference. That's identifying right there that I've evolved. Okay.
Constant evolution.
I want to tell you this. I'm very happy to still know you. I'm very happy to still be able to have these conversations. This is the first time that I'm going to say this on a podcast. I want her back on this podcast. I don't fucking need her back in March.
Wow.
I don't need her for some women empowerment type deal. I love the conversation. I love the jewels that you're dropping with us today because they are important. They're not just important for women empowerment.
No, it's people.
It's people. And we're raising little humans. We're raising little people.
It's the most important job.
It's very important because I'm telling you, we like she had said earlier, you are what you hang around. If you let that bad energy around, you're going to become bad energy.
And that can happen well into adulthood.
1,000%.
It doesn't change.
1,000%.
Doesn't change with age.
Yeah. So
well, let's do this, right? I want to end it on that. And I want to say I am blown away. I mean that. I'm not just saying that because you're sitting right next to me. I am transparent. I am petty as fuck. If I thought it was whack, I'd tell you you're whack.
Well, I think you're phenomenal. I told you I warned you already.
Yeah.
Hey, you seriously?
I talk to kids all day.
We're talking to some adults.
I like to talk to adults when I have the
But you
kids.
seriously dropped so much wisdom on this episode for men and women alike.
I don't want it to sound like I have it all figured out because
none of us
your
do.
girl don't have it figured out.
No, hey, none of us.
Like we don't, and there's beauty in that.
Yeah, but I don't want to take away.
I
don't want to take away from what you did dispense because a lot of it was so helpful.
It was good
and
hopefully
inspirational.
you can, help bring somebody reassurance. Like,
That's
hey, we're all in the same boat out here. Anyone who
nobody's
feel
exempt,
alone,
right?
Nobody's exempt.
I love
Nobody, and none of us are alone. And I think that a lot of times we feel alone, and there's somebody out there that feels exactly like you,
right?
And that's always true.
Take the leap.
Take the leap.
Take the leap.
If you're alone, come to Two Poor Podcasts. We got you.
Two Poor Podcasts. We're on
therapy.
YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Instagram. We're at your mom's house. It doesn't matter. What I want to say right now from Two Poor Podcasts, I love y'all.
Love you. Welcome to the family, Hannah.
Welcome to the family, Hannah.
Guys.
Yes. I feel good.